Welcome to the official podcast of Cryptids, Anomalies, and the Paranormal Society. This is Whispers from the Dark. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Whispers from the Dark. I am your host, Barnaby, and I gotta say that I really enjoy the new entrance of this show because I was getting really sick of the air raid siren, and I hope everybody out there likes the new theme music as well. Let me know, because I think this is only the third episode that we've used it, so yeah, let me know what you think, if you like this one or the old one better, because, you know, if nobody likes this one, I can go back to the air raid, but I'm tired of it. So, all right, guys. So let's get some housekeeping out of the way here today on today's show. As you guys know, On the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts, our Paraflix series is streaming. It is available on Paraflix paranormal streaming platform. You can go to our website and click on the Paraflix link, enter promo code CAPS10 for 10% off your first 3 months of Paraflix. It is the paranormal streaming platform similar to Netflix. It is just all paranormal and cryptids and weird stuff that, if you're listening to the show, you're going to be into. All right, guys, if you want to support our show, all of our research, all of our work, and you want to show that to everybody out there, go check out wisconsincaps.com and click on shop our store, or go to tpublic.com/user/Wisconsin CAPS. And there you can get t-shirts, hoodies, magnets, stickers, mugs, tote bags, tank tops, pillows, all kinds of stuff with your favorite logos from all of our shows, like Whispers from the Dark, Monday Morning Monsters, and On the Trail of Undiscovered Beasts. While you're online, make sure that you go and show your support for all of our social media platforms. Follow us wherever you find your social media. It's Wisconsin Caps at Patreon, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube, and WI Caps on Instagram. There you can find all your favorites like Whispers from the Dark and Monday Morning Monsters. All right, guys, head on over to our Patreon page. Coming this spring is a brand new project, the Ghost Lab Project. I can't wait to tell you guys more about that, but for now, if you want to get involved and you want to support it, even though you don't know what the heck it is, because you're going to want to, head on over to patreon.com/Wisconsin Caps. We are going to be at the Frogman Festival, the inaugural Frogman Festival, March 4th in Mason, Ohio. You can go to wisconsincaps.com and click on Public Events tab, and you can find all kinds of information about all these events. And then we are going to South Carolina, the end of March, to the Hagood Mill Historical Site for a paranormal conference with amazing people like Jeremy Leonard, Katie Stafford, Brandy Marie, and all kinds of other ones, as well as myself and my team. Then we go in May to Ohio Salt Forks, to the Ohio Bigfoot Convention, back to the Hodag Heritage Festival at the end of May in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. June 3rd, Monster Fest. Look at this lineup. This thing is amazing. This thing just came out. It has Lauren Coleman listed on it, and I really hope that he's going to be there. That guy is amazing. I met him once. Cliff Barrickman, Lyle Blackburn, Eli Watson, a whole bunch of people from Small Town Monsters, because they're the ones putting it on. So, guys, if you got a chance, go over, check out the Monster Fest in Canton, Ohio. And then in June 9th and 10th, the Marinette Menominee Bigfoot and Paranormal Convention in Marinette, Wisconsin. I don't know why I'm reading it over there. It's right in front of me over here. Sponsored by CAPS, that's us, Paraflix Paranormal, and American Ghost Walks. Make sure you go check out those sponsors as well. And myself, Christopher Noel, Angela Zabel, and Chad Lewis will be presenting, along as one more that we are still waiting to announce. MI Paracon in Sault Ste. Marie is coming up in August. We'll tell you more when it gets closer. Upstate Paranormal Convention, September. in South Carolina again, And the Great Lakes Paranormal Convention is in Wisconsin in Glen Beulah, September 22nd and 24th. And that brings us to the end of our current roster of events. Thankfully, that's it. That's all. So we'll probably still be at CryptiCon and the Milwaukee Paracon as well, but they don't have their dates listed yet for those events. So we'll get to those later. And that has wasted 5 minutes of the show. So, as promised, we have our guest today coming back from the Caps team because they never got an official solo episode. So we want to have a chance to really get to know and talk more paranormal with Nico. Welcome to the show, Nico.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for coming back on. I know you're about as busy as I am.
Yeah, yeah, really, we are about that.
Yeah. So first off, like I said, I would like to clear up some stuff about this because you have appeared in several of our episodes. The Misery Haunted House episode, the Haunted House episode, as well as the Documenting Fear episode, and now you've been on the podcast twice, and each time you've appeared with a different name.
Yeah. It's very amusing to me too.
So I am aware of why this is, and as you and some of our listeners know, obviously some of us on the team go by aliases just because, obviously Resnick and Cosmic Fathom, those aren't real names, but they use them because of social media platforms and social media presences that they have, and the way that they want to be represented. So let's kind of delve into what's going on with you.
Okay, so in the Haunted House episode, I believe I appeared as Simon. And that was because at the time I was transitioning from female to male. I had believed isn't the right word, but I had begun this journey of transitioning, and I thought that was who I was. By the next episode, I had figured out that it just wasn't. And I was starting to realize that, okay, there's something different about me, but I'm not female to male trans. And then now, for the past 2 episodes when I've appeared as Nico, it's because about 2.5-ish years ago, I figured out that I was non-binary. I use they, them pronouns, have changed my name socially, not legally, to Nico. Everybody uses it. It's a just I present I present very androgynous. I don't feel a connection with my birth gender. That was really what I was struggling to figure out when I started transitioning from female to male, was that I knew something wasn't quite right with being female and being a girl or a woman. I just didn't have my finger on it at the time. And, I needed to mature a little bit and kind of figure myself out for a couple of years before I finally, kind of put that nail in the gender coffin.
Awesome. Well, like I said, I understand what's going on, and
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about this going into this interview today that we've known each other for about 9 to 10 years right now.
Yep.
That's a long time. I was
Yes.
not. I was thinking about that. I'm like, wow, I've known you for a long time, and I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
2013, I think, is when we met.
Yep.
So.
And for those unaware, like obviously you were part of the Haunted House episode. You started off. We met because your sister ended up working at my haunted house, and brought you in, and then you started working at the haunted house as well.
Yeah. She she didn't like that I took over her kind of thing. So she's just like, nah, I'm out. And then it became my thing. So I think we saw her back like once after that.
Yeah, yeah, that's about it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So
So you ended up making a pretty decent career in the haunted house. I mean, you went from being just an actor, and we'll get to how we actually met a little bit here.
yeah.
But you started out as an actor, and you ended up moving up to makeup and team lead, and probably one of my top people in the haunt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely God, I think I worked at the haunt for it was 6 years, I believe.
Hmm.
And yeah, I was an actor for all that time, but I really, really enjoyed doing makeup. And even now to this day, I mean, I utilize all those skills in my cosplay, and I have a TikTok account that you know about and that I promoted on the last episode that I was on and things like that. I do a lot of SFX makeup. So those skills that I learned when I was at the haunts, I utilize them to this day, and it's really great still, having that love of the haunt and love of the makeup and things like that, and being able to use them now. So
Absolutely. Well, go ahead and promote your not YouTube, well, YouTube, TikTok, whatever you got. I mean, like that's why we're here.
yeah, it's Nico cosplays underscore, but it is NICOCOSPLAYZ and then underscore, and that is TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, I messed that up.
That's okay. That's how I
Um,
spell it.
yeah. You got some pretty cool stuff on there. Like I've watched obviously a lot of your stuff on there, and I really was a big fan of the Walking Dead stuff with Negan.
Yeah, I'm actually bringing that back because Lucille is finally unpacked and out of my boxes and storage unit now. So, and I'm getting sick of the silver hair. So that was going to go back to black.
Yeah, how old are you now? 73,
Yeah,
74?
73. I look real good for my age. Uh,
It's that hormones.
yeah, it's the hormones, man. God, that testosterone, man. Just, it gets ya.
So going back to the beginning here, like I said, my first memory of meeting you at the haunt, because I mean, like,
Mhm.
obviously I met you or whatever when we, you came and whatever to the haunt, but my first
Yeah.
memory was walking into the kitchen scene in Misery. We had like this house set up for half of the attraction, and there was a kitchen scene, and you're sitting on the floor stabbing a knife at your hand.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you remember
The knife
this?
song. Yeah.
Yes.
I have all my fingers. The knife goes chop, chop, chop. If I miss the spaces in between, my fingers will come off. And if I hit my fingers, the blood will soon come out. But all the same, I played this game. Yeah, it's a time. Chop, chop, chop,
Yeah.
chop, 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 chop. I'm picking up the speed. And if I hit my fingers, then my hand will start to bleed.
Yeah. So I remember that. And so I have a lot of actors at the haunt. And obviously, like we said, your sister had brought you in, and
Mm-hmm.
so I wasn't really familiar with you. And I met you off season at your day job,
Uh-huh.
and I kind of introduced myself, and you're like, yeah, I worked at the haunt, and I'm like, oh, I don't remember you, and you're like, do you remember the girl with the knife in the kitchen? And I'm like, I do, I do remember.
And my day job was so opposite. It was like this super
Oh yeah.
cheery, like fun, like, oh my gosh, are you gonna go get do you need any help today, sir? Like it was that kind of a job. And then you turn around and go to the aunt, and I'm like, I'm gonna cut your fingers. You want to play a game? Like, complete opposite.
Oh yeah. So we started the haunt together. Well, not together, but we started at the haunt together in Little Shoot when we were over there, and
Mm-hmm.
that got shut down because the nonprofit that we were a fundraiser for ended up closing, and we ended up moving to Berlin, which is
Yep.
the location of the haunted house episode. And as we know that you were a part of that, for anybody that hasn't seen that episode, that it's on YouTube. A haunted house. I think it is
Yeah.
a haunted house. And when we were working there, we had filmed a lot of investigations and everything at the haunt. And when we first started Caps, I went back and I used a lot of that footage that was originally shot, and I interviewed all the actors, including yourself, about that. So um, I, you actually were out there quite a bit as far as like even off season helping build in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the makeup, as we said, and team lead and everything. Can you kind of remember any of the weird stuff that you personally had happen out there? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was they
I
were
was gonna say
pretty
opening night.
yeah, opening night was quite interesting. That was the night that I had. That was the night that I like left the doll room and would not go back into that room. I requested to stay out of that room, and
Mm-hmm.
it was because a doll did. I don't know what that was. A doll decided to um start. First off, it started to raise its arm like and move positions. Um, and then it another experience in that room, a doll like threw itself off of the dresser. There was no logical, like, you and I sat there for a good
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes trying to figure out how this doll that was standing on a dresser like this could have gotten all the way, like, it was what, 2-3 feet away from the dresser, straight out from the dresser. um Scared the absolute bejesus out of me. um
Standing up.
yeah, it was
I think
standing
that's
up.
important to note. Yes,
Yeah,
standing up on the floor.
yeah. It wasn't like laying down. There were no like dust tracks to show that anybody like, moved it or like brushed, because you would have seen like dust from somebody's costume moving it. There was nothing. And that was the night that we nailed the dolls' heads into the wall too, I think.
Screwed them in. Yep, yep.
Yeah, yeah.
So what had happened was you were freaking out because of this, and as the building, there's so much dust in this building, it has a really crappy fire alarm system,
Hmm.
and the fire alarm system got triggered in a different part of the building, and everyone had to evacuate. And when we came back in, is when this doll is standing in the middle of
Yeah.
the floor. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that was, and everyone was out, so it's like
Mhm.
nobody should have been in there. No one should have been in there, and if they were, like, they would have been unaccounted for. Like, we had a system, so
Yep. So
uh, it
as
was.
part of that, like, and here's something else to keep in mind. I just realized when the fire alarm goes off, the team leads, including myself, walk the entire haunt. I
Mhm.
had to have walked from the beginning of the haunt to the back of the haunt to clear the attraction, and I would have had to walk right on top of that doll if it would have been in my way.
Mhm. Yeah.
So whatever happened was when we were all out of the building.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know, like, if it, because I had a thing about dolls, but I was like, back then, I was comfortable enough where I'm like, yeah, I can be in the room. Like, we're good. And since then, I'm just like, you put me in a room with all dolls and I will go out fighting. I swear to God.
We had
That's,
a we had a lot of problems with that room because every
we
time
did.
that room backed up against I can't remember what it was at the time, but it eventually became the pet. Oh, it was the pet shop.
Yeah, the
It
pet
was
shop
the
was
pet
right
shop,
around the corner.
and then later on it became the pet hotel.
Mm-hmm.
But when it was the bedroom scene there, it was the bedroom scene with all the dolls, and then the pet shop was on the other side. And both of those rooms, I could not put any girls in.
Yeah. They
That
did
whatever was in
not.
there did not like it.
Nope. I
We
want to
had
put me in there now and see what happens.
yeah, that's
Experiment.
interesting. Oh man. Um, so beyond that, so we had you in the doll room, and I can't remember where we moved you after that year, but we
I
we moved
was
you out.
up front that year
You were
after that.
door grader.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. You got moved up to be door greeter that year.
Yep.
Okay. Then we move on to I think it was a couple years later. You took a year off when you went to school,
Mm-hmm.
and then the next year you came back and you moved back to the pirate room,
Yep.
and that was back with Rob, the mad scientist, and that area had a lot of activity. You remember any stories from back there?
Um, the pirate room, it was mostly noises. That was the thing. You'd hear footsteps, and there wouldn't be anybody coming through because you'd get told on the we had the walkies. You'd get told if someone was coming through, um, or I'd hear you coming through. You had a very significant walk. I can always tell when it was you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, here comes Barnaby. Uh, but you'd hear footsteps and then they'd stop. And I'm like, okay, like, oh, you gonna, is anyone there? So I checked, there was a door along the wall, that you could leave through. And I checked back there to see if anyone was there. And there was never anyone back there. So I'm like, okay, this ghost is just messing with me at this point because this is the like third experience I've had at this haunt where they're just like messing with me every single night. I swear to God that I always heard footsteps just walking by the room. Couple hours a night, and it was so crazy because I'd be tripping out. I'd be like just sitting there talking to Rob, and then all of a sudden I'd hear like rapid footsteps, and I'd turn, and no one's there. It was the creepiest thing ever. Like somebody was like, it would vary between walking and then like if someone had an emergency and they were like quick, like really rapid walking. It was ugh.
I had a lot of experiences because, as you know, like the floor there was cement, but it was very
Yeah.
deteriorated cement. So
Mm-hmm.
there was crumbly, not quite gravel, but kind of a
Yeah.
gravel cement area on the ground. And there were times the whole haunt's surrounded by a 5-foot egress, this hallway that goes around the whole thing for ease of access. And I would be out there working on something in the hallway and hear somebody walking directly towards me along those halls. There's
Mm-hmm.
nobody there.
Yeah.
We've had that several times. I've heard from different actors. I've heard of, you were talking about the access door to those hallways. In the pet shop room, there was a curtain actually. And the actor that was in that room actually had the curtain pulled back and like about the size of like a little kid and something like peeked in or something and then put the curtain back.
Mm-hmm.
That room was just nuts. And then over in the factory room, there was a lot of motion sensor stuff that would keep going off like repeatedly. So we had a lot of activity out there.
Yeah. Yeah, that place, it's probably for the best that we're not out there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I have no idea what's in that building and stuff. It would be interesting to go back and check out again, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. There's reasons why we don't, but
There's reasons.
there's reasons.
I know
So
the reasons.
absolutely, anybody that's familiar with the haunted house knows those reasons. It's not not a secret. But
Yeah.
so so that is about that, and I think we talked a little bit about the investigation we had down in Kenosha
Hmm.
at the Documenting Fear episode.
Yep.
We talked a little bit about that on the 100th episode, so you can go back and check that out, I guess. Was there anything else you wanted to add about that?
Um, Not really. I talked pretty in depth about that, like my experiences there on the
Mm-hmm.
100th episode.
And that was just an intense experience for everybody involved, and
Yeah.
it's I think the most important thing to mention now about that is if you haven't seen the episode, this family that was experiencing problems called us in to do not an investigation per se, but a documentation, because they were experiencing all these things that they felt that they were just going mad or insane, and wanted somebody else to come in and validate their claims. And we went in there and documented all this stuff and had a few things happen throughout the night, but it wasn't really until after we went back and reviewed all the audio and stuff that we had that we realized all the stuff that was going on there. Um, the I think the like I said, the takeaway from this is, if anybody out there is experiencing anything, you know, that you need help with, feel free to reach out to my team, wisconsincaps.com. You can report your sighting is what you would do, and that would be the best way to get help. We have a lot of people on our team, Nico, and Ellie and Stephanie, Rez, all of us, each one of us does different things, and there's somebody on our team that will be able to help you, hopefully. And if not, we have a lot more resources at our disposal. We've made a lot of connections over the years, and it's important to reach out, and we can try and help you with that. And at this point, I think that I would like to take a quick break here and promote Ellie, because we have a commercial for Ellie. And if you are having issues, we can reach out to the team or Ellie directly and see if she can give us a hand. So we'll be right back after this message from Ellie Weisensell.
Ellie Weisensell's psychic medium is a medical intuitive that specializes as a body code practitioner. As an energy healer, Ellie offers additional services that allow her modalities to be intertwined with energetic healing. Within your subconscious lies information that knows everything about you and why you deal with specific conditions. The subconscious can be considered the blueprint to your entire body. With Ellie working physically with your subconscious mind, we detect what negative emotions are trapped and where they are stored within the body that is causing you your emotional and physical pain. This work is designed to remove imbalances and correct them energetically, getting to the root cause of why you have your condition, to help balance your body so it may heal itself. Your body is infinitely wise and wants to be in balance. The body code is not only gentle for humans, but it is also a gentle process to help animals. For more information, contact Ellie Weisensell at the website below.
All right, we're back here. So Ellie is a member of our team. She is a psychic intuitive, and as it said, and we have worked with her on several occasions, and very, very good to work with her and everything. So highly recommend. Does very good work. Nico is our guest here on today's show. Nico, what do you do specifically? I mean, like, as far as what do you practice?
I am a practicing pagan and witch. I mostly deal with contacting spirits, helping people cleanse them of any demonic entities, or talking to spirits that are inhibiting other people's spaces, well, their spaces, and hopefully helping the spirits leave peacefully.
Very cool.
I do
Very cool.
a lot of spirit work, so.
Yep. So what, let's see. I was going to go somewhere else with this, and now I've decided to backtrack here a little. I'm caught on a cord.
You're good.
Do you do this outside of CAPS as well?
Mm-hmm.
So have
Yes.
you worked other cases as far? And obviously we can't get into too much detail, but have you been called to do like any of your friends' houses or stuff like that? Have you had any other unique cases that we haven't covered?
I have actually. The house that I bought before living in this apartment ended up being haunted. The first experience there was my friend walked upstairs, or was downstairs, sorry, and he's like, I'm just gonna go use the bathroom real quick after helping us move. And he walks out and he looks like he's seen a ghost, which probably did. He's like, someone's walking upstairs. And I'm like, great. Just bought this house. No one told us that this is going to happen. But I'm like, wow, that's just fate, So I worked on the Oshkosh house that I lived in for a while. Had to cleanse that several times, and there's protections to this day that I go back and help my ex strengthen, because it is a intense place. It's a very intense place. I've worked with I'm in a coven. I work with them with, we collaborate on cases. They are based out of Wausau, so I help collaborate on cases there. If I ever have to make the drive up there, there's been several poltergeist cases that I've worked on. But for the most part, it's a lot of, I like to stay in Appleton because I can't really get off work, unfortunately, most of the time. But I do a lot of, what's the word? There's a word for, talking to the person about what you need to
Counseling?
do. Counseling, thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
I do a lot of counseling. So.
Very cool. Now, so in your line of belief and practice and stuff, because everybody, like I said, on the team is a little different. Ellie is a body code practitioner. Stephanie is a medium. Cosmic Fathom is a shaman. You're a pagan. So in those different aspects, what are some things that you do when you go into these places to protect yourself? And what are your practices as far as that goes, and some advice that you could give?
I always make sure to have the big three on me: Palo Santo, frankincense, and sage, of some sort, be it the herbs itself, oil, incense. As long as I have those three on me, they're all very protective. Scents, oils, herbs, and they're very spiritually cleansing as well. So if something is attached to me, I know that by having any of those in my car, on my body at any point, like I have a locket that has a little bit of each inside of them, and I wear that, I know that I will have that protection. And after each case, I also cleanse it with moon water. Moon water is water in a jar that is left under the light of the full moon, and it's the equivalent of holy water. anything that is touched with that water is protected and cleansed. So those are like my main things that I use to keep myself protected at cases like this. Bring a little vial of the moon water, keep those on me.
Can you talk a little bit more about what the other three are or what they're used for?
Yeah, so frankincense, it's mostly known in like Christianity and Catholicism as being one of the gifts that was given to Jesus. And in that sense, it is taken from, it was taken from pagan culture. And it's seen as a very pure herb, which is why it was a gift given to the Messiah. Any herb that is seen as very pure, very divine in a sense, is each herb has a different meaning, and they each have different uses. So frankincense, for example, you can use it for protection and for spiritual protection. Palo Santo, same thing, spiritual protection, but it's not going to help you like gain fortune or anything like that. Sage is a big one that a lot of people use to cleanse houses. It's not one of my favorites to use because it's endangered, especially white sage. So I personally recommend using Palo Santo, or even like lavender wrapped up is a really great replacement for that, in burning lavender. But each herb has a different use. And you can't use, for example, mugwort to cleanse a house because mugwort has its own separate use. You kind of have to pick and choose with the different herbs and smells and incenses in order to like decide, like on a case-by-case basis. You have to decide what you're going to use. So,
and that's going to be affected by what is the issue of the house as well.
Exactly. Like I brought a black candle to the Kenosha house because it's black candles are known for casting out entities and banishing entities. If I used a white candle, it would be purifying, but it wouldn't have kept it at bay. And at this poltergeist, unfortunately, or entity that we were dealing with was unfortunately attached to somebody that wasn't there or something. It wasn't the house, as we talked about. So the black candle did not do its thing. But, you know, unfortunately, there's only so much you can do with what you have at the place at the time. So.
That's very important. You know, when we're talking about these different things that you can do, to realize that you go into these places, or if you want to do it yourself, and you start saging or using other herbs and stuff or crystals or whatever, that just because it does something doesn't mean it's going to affect or solve the problem that's there. And it's really important to understand what is going on at a case or in a situation before trying to attempt to get rid of it or do anything like that, because some things are just going to make it worse.
Yeah, everything is a case-by-case basis. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to sage this thing away, because sage might make it worse. You don't know. You have to figure out the problem first, and then case-by-case basis.
Mm-hmm. As a case in point, the Kenosha house saging, they were saging 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And what was going on, we think, is that there was one entity attached to somebody in the house, and it was basically like holding this door open for all this other stuff to come in. So when they're saging, things would get better because they were pushing out all these smaller things, but the big one is still standing there with the door open, which is just allowing more and more stuff to come in. So what saging, yeah, it helped, but it wasn't going to be the end all cure all of that situation. And without having proper knowledge and the experience of going in and investigating, they're not going to know that.
Mm-hmm. It's like having your door open during a blizzard and shoveling, like shoveling the snow out of your house. It's not good. It's going to be effective getting some of the snow out, but if you still have your door open, it's going to keep coming in. So
Absolutely. So things just keep on going, and we keep moving forward and stuff. And speaking of things that keep going on and moving forward, that was a really long segue here.
yeah.
I wanna talk about some of the places that you've been.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one place that I don't know how many people. I mean, if you've watched, well, both of them are movie related, but there's an entire video game series, an entire movie based on one of these real life places that you got to go and check out. Can you tell me and everybody the story of this location and why you chose to go there and stuff?
Yes. So, for anyone who is not familiar, I went to Centralia, Pennsylvania. It is a little town, middle of nowhere. Like, you have to walk through a forest to access this place. It is not accessible by roads or anything. There are 10 people in total living there right now. And that is because there is a huge underground mine fire still burning to this day. It is estimated that it will be burning for another 150 to 250 years. And it's already been burning for about 100 now. I think the 100th anniversary just passed. And if this sounds familiar, it is because Silent Hill, the video game and movies, the first movie, the sequel, and the third one were not actually based off of that, but the town Silent Hill and the video game were based around Centralia, including like the ground caving in and the whole mine fires and everything like that. All of that is real. The inaccessible road is absolutely real. The way that you can access this town is so crazy. There's a part in Silent Hill where the road just, like, it's gone. It's broken off. And you can see the bridge in the distance. That's basically what this is you can see the bridge that would normally connect the highway to Centralia, and it's just gone because the ground caved in from the mine fire. It's chilling to see. Now, when I went there was a warning that I had to, I read a warning online. They're like, hey, the ground might just collapse underneath you, so bring a stick and poke. Literally, I had to bring a stick and I had to poke ahead of me before I stepped, so I knew where to step just in case the ground collapsed. So that was the most adrenaline I have ever felt in my life. I was shaking the entire time. And it was downpouring too on top of that. So I'm holding an umbrella in one hand that's just gusting everywhere, poking the ground with another and trying to step and explore. And I guess the reason I go to these places, or this place in particular, was I don't go for the tourist attractions. I don't go to be like, oh my God, Silent Hill, heck yeah. I go because if you don't visit these places where tragedy happened, one day someone's going to forget. Like the last person on earth is going to forget about these places. And the people, all the people who died there, they don't deserve that. They don't deserve somebody forgetting them. You know, those spirits, wherever they are, and there was a lot of tragedy that I felt there. It was overwhelming, you know. They don't deserve to be forgotten. They, whether they're moved on or not, they deserve to have their memory preserved in somebody's mind. You know, I wouldn't want to be forgotten if I died, you know, in some horrible, tragic fire, you know. So that's really why I go to these places. It's not for fun. It's to leave offerings for them, to make sure that they get the remembrance that they deserve. And that's kind of why I brought my friend home. Because, like, I mean, she didn't deserve to be there, you know? So.
Before we get to that, can you tell me, do you know, like, the actual history of what started the fire? Like, what happened to the town?
Nobody really knows what started the mine fire. It was a different time. There weren't OSHA violations weren't a thing.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's really what we do know is that it started as a small fire and then it got out of control real fast. Like it was alarmingly fast from the people who survived it, you know. They had to be evacuated. Like everyone who decided to be evacuated, because some people decided to still live there. Like I said, there are 10 people still living there as of 2019. There are still people living there. Like the government has tried to kick them out. That is how dangerous this place is. But they won't leave. It's their home, you know. I mean, no matter how dangerous it is, it's their home. But yeah, nobody really knows how it was underground. No one really knows. I mean, if you put a fire underneath the grass, it's gonna start, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you know, obviously it's a coal mine, so you know what is coal used for? We burn it. So obviously, if a very small fire starts in a coal mine, I mean, you're literally, yeah, that's what coal is for. So
it's
yeah.
gonna get out of control fast, you know. And they said that it spread within minutes, and that was it. That was all it took for, you know, thousands of people to die.
Yeah, terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So now we can get on to your new friend from there.
Yeah. As I was leaving, I was walking out of the forest and I found Penelope, is what I have found her name to be. She is actually haunted. She does move around my house. She was sitting right outside of Centralia. I don't know why she has any X's on her. But she is old. Like, I trace this doll back. She traces a long way back. Her copyright is 2002. So somebody was there. somebody, be it a grandkid, but there was also a hole beside her, which is not nice and not fun. So I had to be very careful grabbing Penelope off the ground.
Like a hole, you mean like a cave-in?
Yes. So I don't want to make assumptions or anything, but, we have Penelope here, and she resides with me, and she sits in my bedroom. She likes to move around, and I sit her by the sunlight because she likes it. So, yeah, I just let her do her own thing. She's never harmed me. I mean, I've had genuinely haunted articles in this house before that are, or like in my houses before that are not safe, and Penelope's never done anything to me. So she just does her own thing. So she didn't deserve to sit there. So
very cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the only place that you have been famous and visited. Where else have you gone?
I have gone to Ohio State Penitentiary, which was the filming location for Shawshank Redemption. And I also went to the Eastern State Penitentiary. Very tragic place. Very tragic place. I had an experience there as well. And both were very chilling places to be.
Awesome. Well, we are almost at the end of this episode. If there's anything else you want to add about either of them, feel free.
Yeah. So the Eastern State Penitentiary was shaped like a star. It housed Al Capone, fun fact, to treat his syphilis. And as I was, it wasn't very effective, but it was a very tragic place. They murdered many, many trans and LGBTQ people there, simply for the fact of being themselves. But when I was at the Ohio State Penitentiary, there I was walking down cell block A, and that you go in and there's no one like behind you, like ever. You go in and it's a big enough place. There's no one around you. So I'm walking there, and all of a sudden I hear someone like whistling behind me, and I tried to catch it on camera. I recorded the video and I played it back, and there was no one whistling. There was no one on the video. And then I stopped recording, and I'm like, okay, I'm imagining things. But then I heard it again, same tune. And I'm like, okay, so there's just like a random guard or somebody, or like, a cellmate whistling at me. So I decided to mimic the whistle, and it stopped after that. Probably not the best thing to do, but it stopped. So that was quite an interesting experience. I will say, if you ever go to the Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania, be very, very prepared to feel very, very overwhelming sadness. It is not a good place. It's not. Most of it's in ruins, but they're rebuilding it, and I do not think that the spirits are happy about it. Like, I understandably so. But they're not pleased, and there's a lot of sad and horrible things that happen there.
Can you imagine, like, this is a place where people were killed and, trapped and stuff, and it goes into ruin, and these spirits got to feel some sort of like vindication, like this place is falling down, it
Mm-hmm.
deserves it, etc. And then to have these people come in who think that they're doing, justice of restoring it and preserving it for historical fact, and these spirits are there sitting there going, you're rebuilding this place of torture and, you know bad memories for them. That's got to be worse than just like, changing a wall in your house on somebody. You're you know it's got to be super traumatic for the souls and stuff that are still there.
Yeah, and there's like, I did my best. I left an offering for them, but there's no offering that can make that better. It's like putting a band-aid over, bleeding out. There's not anything you can do to help them, because that is a wound that should not have been reopened in the first place. Those
Mhm.
spirits deserve rest. I'm I it's just horrible, all the things that they're doing right now, completely rebuilding it. They should have just done what Ohio State did, and they left it in ruin. It's fine. If you want to let people explore it, fine, but don't rebuild it. Don't do that.
Do you know, are they doing, like, a lot of the times you see like these shows like, the different cities haunted. I can't think of the ghosts of Morgan City, the ghosts
Hmm.
of, those shows. And they go to these places, and they find the people there, and all they want to do is be remembered. And that seems to be what's haunting a lot of these towns. Have
Hmm.
you heard anything about them doing like a plaque or a memorial of all the people that were killed there or housed there or anything like that?
No, nothing.
Yeah, I
Which
think
I
that would
think
go a
is,
long way.
yeah, I think them being remembered would, it'd be a tremendous step, because some of them were killed for petty theft. I mean, some of them weren't even in there for murder and, terrible crimes. Like, it was, just, it was horrible, horrible. The things that I was learning about at the Eastern State. It was racism up the wall, and homophobia and transphobia, just so much discrimination, so much, and then being murdered for it. Like, that's terrible. And there's hardly any record of these people, which is even worse. What records they can find, they do have recordings of some of them in the cells, but that's maybe 6 prisoners out of how many hundreds of thousands, that were hurt and tortured and killed. So,
It's terrible.
mhm.
I would like to give you the opportunity here at the end to hop up on a soapbox, and if there's any, like, I know you're all about, like these causes that we've been talking about here. If there's anything that you want to get out there, as far as like a public platform, and make a statement, this time is yours.
Yeah, absolutely. If any of you decide to go to these haunted places or a haunted place, don't go for the fun of it. Please keep in mind that a lot of these places are haunted for reasons that are like unfathomable grief, terrible hurt. These spirits were hurt, tortured, killed in unimaginable ways. Um, if you're going to go for the right reason. Go to remember them. Go to keep their memory like alive and preserved. And if you're going to go, bring an offering. Spirits need coins to pass over to the other side in a lot of beliefs. So bring 2 coins to just leave at the gate before you leave or before you enter too. If you go to a graveyard, bring some coins to leave at the gate. It goes a long way towards letting those spirits rest. And it's a really great offering to show the spirits that you have the best intentions.
Very well said. I totally agree with you. I know a lot of people, like you said, go there to be scared and be spooked and stuff. And, it's not that. I mean, whatever these things are, there are bad entities out there. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of the times, as you said, these are people that were very traumatically treated, and that's why they're there. And going there and asking them to touch you or provoking them and stuff, that's just not okay.
No.
Very good. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap this episode up?
Nope, I think that's all.
What we got to end on a good note here. What do you got coming up? Where are you going to be and stuff for your cosplay and stuff?
I will be at Anime Milwaukee, February 3rd through the 5th. And then I'm going to Anime NYC, November 17th through the 19th. And I will be premiering in a idol group. So there will be more on that. Yeah. Awesome.
And remind everybody, where can we find you on TikTok?
Nico Cosplays, and that is cosplays, COSPLAYZ _.
Awesome. Very cool. And you can always find Nico or Simon or Kira on Wisconsin Caps on our YouTube page. Search Wisconsin spelled out and then CAPS, or go to Wisconsin Caps, CAPS.com, and you'll find all the links there. So, Nico, thanks as always for being my friend for the last 10 years, and the haunted house, and everything you do for Caps. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Anytime. You're always welcome on any of our investigations. I know you're busy, so one day we'll have you back on, and we'll see you back out there in the field.
Yes, hopefully soon.
Awesome. Can't wait. All right, guys, that is our show for this week. Until next time, we'll see you out there. Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Whispers from the Dark. To find out more about cryptids, anomalies, and the Paranormal Society, visit us at our website at wisconsincaps.com. That's Wisconsin, CAPS.com. There you can find links to all of our social media: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and our Patreon. You will see links to our online store as well, where you can get t-shirts, DVDs, and more. If you click on the public events page, you can find out where you can meet us in person and all the public events we have coming up. If you enjoy our podcast or our YouTube shows, please consider becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/Wisconsin Caps. There you can find behind-the-scenes pictures and videos from all of our media, as well as bonus footage and evidence that we have collected. If you have encountered something you can't explain, we want to hear from you. Visit our website and click on Submit a Report on our main screen. You can choose to leave your contact information or simply remain anonymous. You can also reach us via email at wisconsincaps@gmail.com. If you would like to be a guest on our show, please contact us on our Whispers from the Dark podcast page on Facebook, or send us an email at wisconsincaps.com. Remember to like, share, and subscribe wherever you listen or watch or find us.